Hello everyone, welcome to Foreigner Farming in the Philippines. Well, today is Saturday, and don't know why, but none of the workers showed up today. So, I don't know, I had missed today. I thought yesterday was Saturday, but anyway, I'll be doing definitely be doing the clean out on this ditch down here myself. But anyway, many of you have seen the problems we're having with the check at the shrimp pond and the problems with keeping the water in or keeping the water out, just sealing that large check. And I was reading a comment last night from Devon O, and I know that's not your given name, but and I can't remember it because I'm old, but I don't know if you directly suggested it. I don't think so, but you were talking about a way to seal that with plywood. I think it was plywood and rubber gaskets, which is what I'd come up with. I can't remember if it was actually your suggestion or if I just had an epiphany, but the solution for our problem there is right here. Now the opening on that gate is 2 feet by 2 feet, so that's a huge amount of water, volume. Of course, it's not under pressure, it's just water volume, and it's a lot. But having said that, and I really don't know if I could source it or not. I haven't seen it here, but I am thinking to use a pipe just like this one, much larger, of course, something in the order, well, the biggest that I can find. And if it doesn't seem big enough, use 2 pipes. Now, probably what it would entail, so just imagine this is the river out here where the tilapia tanks are, and this is our pond. And everyone can see that this is how I let the water in and out, or just out. But it could also be the same principle right here could be used to let the water in or out at that shrimp pond. Now we would have to build, well, I guess we wouldn't. My first thought was to cement in the check, put a pipe in and cement all around it. So just imagine that's a 2-foot square there. And I had first thought to put it out in the river itself. But I don't see why there's any reason why we couldn't do it inside the check itself. Just cement that opening shut except for the pipe. And all you have to do to let water in or out is this. And imagine this is a 12-inch pipe and not a 4-inch, but you would just simply remove that. Of course, this would have to be 6 or 7 feet long, and a 12-foot or a 12-inch 6 or 7 foot pipe would be a little bit heavy, but we're all grown men, and I'm sure that we could do it. Even one guy could do it. So just imagine that instead of an earthen bank, it would just be the check filled with cement with an elbow on it. At high tide, imagine the river out here, so at high tide the water goes in through here and into the pond, and if we want to drain the pond at low tide, we simply remove the pipe. Much easier than sandbags, even easier than a gate with a screw, and cheaper than either of, well, not cheaper than the sandbag option, but much cheaper than a gate set up with a wheel on it. So that's the way that I'm leaning at the moment. I haven't run this by Jason. I did. Was just chatting with him on Messenger, one of the rare times when we could actually kind of sort of almost carry on a conversation. And so I did tell him to watch this video. So maybe when he sees this, he'll let me know what he thinks one way or another. I'm going to open this up again and try to get some more water in this. What I'm going to do, so anyway, you guys let me know what you think about this idea. I'm going to replace this just for a minute here. You know, when you get the pond as full as you want it, you just replace that, or as empty as you want it. You just, you know, I think that is the easiest solution that we could come up with. Now, and I don't think it will be a big deal to block off the portion of the, of course we would need to block off that inlet and cement it. So, and I don't want to, it's like that sluice part is like 10 feet long. So I don't want to fill up the whole thing full of cement. That would take a lot. And it's not our check anyway. But I was thinking if we went back, like imagine this is a 2-foot square opening. If we put a board in it, whatever pipe that we use, we cut a round hole. Like imagine this would be the pipe, and just a piece of plywood, and we'll have to trim it on site. That'll be the hardest part, is trimming it on site and getting it to wedge inside that opening to where it'll stay in place while we add the cement. I was thinking of doing it on the outside, on the creek side of the check, because there's 2 holes in the top of that culvert, let's say, where we could pour the cement in. And I guess once we get the pipe in that end, as long as the check itself is sealed, we would still have access. Just run a longer pipe all the way through it, and put the elbow back at the other end. Imagine the boards being right there, and right here right here would be the elbow. Of course, we'd have to support the pipe. A rock underneath it would be fine, or another piece of plywood. It doesn't really matter. Or we could just make sure it's laid on the bottom. That would be the easiest way. Just make sure the pipe is laid on the bottom of the culvert, and put the elbow there. And this would be just a straight inlet or outlet into the river. So yeah, I'm solving the problems as I talk about them. I'm liking it. I don't know what Jason's going to think. You guys let me know what you think. Right now, I'm going to pull this net aside a little bit in this pit right here. I'm going to pull the net back some, and I'm going to put a few, I've got some chunks of cement right there, and I'm going to very gingerly put them on the top of that to force that tarp down, so that the water is forced out of it. because the fish have no place to live because there's no water in that. And it's just because from yesterday when I drained this pond, a good bit of the water went into this pit and under it. You can even see it starting to float this up a little bit right there, but it went under this one and leached underneath that one. So the only way that I can do this is to just force that down, and before this storm hits I need to do it anyway and force some of that water out from underneath that tarp. So that's going to be my next little project here, and I think I've got enough water left here. I'm gonna get some more water out of the pond. I'm guessing that the guys walking around in there poked a hole in that tarp because it's down much more than usual. So it's obviously leaking now. So, you know, it's just one thing after another. It just makes me want to go to tanks all the more, because messing with this tarp has been a nightmare. There's no other way to put it. This is just not the way to do it. So I'm going to do what I can to get that tarp forced down, and we shall see. Alright, well, I put those little 2 chunks of cement right there, and just that weight pushing down on the tarp is forcing the water out. There does seem to be a lot of water underneath this one, so I'm going to go down and check. The guys were walking around here yesterday. I had to dig out this little channel here because they had stepped on it and basically filled it in to where it wouldn't drain from one pit to another the way that I had it before. So I'm going to go down and check and make sure that they didn't step on this ditch that I had dug and put in down here, and make sure that this pit is draining. See, this is why you have to micromanage. For some reason, they took it upon themselves to block this off and to keep it from draining. You just sometimes you got to be sure to take a double handful of patience pills. Now I know they had good intentions. They saw what they thought was a water leak here, and so they took it upon themselves to stop it. But they did so without having an idea of the big picture. Yeah, I've just got to use my shovel and clean all this out again. Well, it's actually working pretty good. The jungle takes over pretty quick here. Alright, well, not much water at all is going into this pit, but it'll eventually fill it up if the water level of the pond doesn't fall first. And as you can see, the stones I put in there are working. This portion of the tarp is sinking, There's actually water flowing into it through that crease right there. So hopefully by this afternoon that at least this end of that tarp will be sunk. I put another rock in down on that other end and it rolled, so it's down in the bottom. I'm going to see how this does. It's going to be fruitless if I can't get enough water in this first pit to go over. Hopefully it's coming in faster now than it's leaking. Time will tell. I'll come back in a couple hours and check on it. Thank you, everyone. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe.